Listen to me. This one's gonna hurt, but it's necessary, because sometimes the people you love the most are the ones dragging your soul into darkness. You've been wondering why you can't sleep at night, why your dreams keep dying before they ever take flight. You think it's bad luck. You think it's you. No, it's not bad luck, it's bad spirits, and not the ones you can see, the ones that wear familiar faces. Yes, I said it. Demons don't always come with horns. Sometimes they come in the form of people you've known your whole life, people who smile in your face but plant seeds of doubt in your spirit, people who say I love you but sabotage your every move. You think they're being protective. No, they're being possessive. They don't want to see you break generational curses. They don't want to see you rise because your elevation exposes their stagnation. Let me be real with you. I had folks who claimed they were rooting for me, but when I got the opportunity to shine, they went silent. That's a red flag, not a coincidence. Energy doesn't lie. The spirit inside a person always shows up in their words, in their habits, in their reactions to your growth. I need you to stop making excuses for people who are clearly working against your destiny. Yes, even if it's your own blood, stop saying that's just how they are. No, that's how evil works, disguised, subtle, poisonous. You want to know how to spot them. Pay attention to how they respond when you set boundaries. Watch how they act when you choose peace, purpose, and power over chaos. Demons don't celebrate light, they retreat from it. When you level up spiritually, you'll notice some folks get uncomfortable. That's not your fault. That's your calling exposing their demons. This is not about hate. This is about awareness. You can love people and still recognize when their spirit isn't aligned with your purpose. Some of y'all are entertaining demonic energy because it looks like loyalty. Wake up. Stop letting comfort blind you to truth. Start choosing alignment over attachment, and remember your destiny is too divine to be derailed by disguised demons who have been taught your whole life to trust the ones closest to you. You were raised believing that family is everything, that your friends are your ride or die, that blood is thicker than water. But let me tell you something that most people don't want to say out loud. The enemy doesn't always come from outside. The enemy doesn't always knock on the door with a growl and a threat. Sometimes the enemy walks in your front door with a smile, sits at your table, and prays with you. Sometimes the devil doesn't need to come for you because he already has access to you through the people you refuse to question. This is the part that hurts. It's hard to wrap your mind around it. It's hard to believe that the same person who raised you, laughed with you, grew up with you, could be the one assigned to keep you in bondage. It doesn't make sense, right? It's confusing. You say, they love me. They've always been there for me. But let me ask you something. If they truly love you, why do you feel smaller every time you share a dream with them? Why do you feel like you've got to dim your light just to keep the peace? Why is it that every time you try to level up, they remind you of who you used to be? You think that's love. You think that's support. No, that's control. That's spiritual warfare disguised as concern. That's a spirit that doesn't want to see you step into your divine calling. And it's not always intentional. It's not always obvious. That's why it's so dangerous, because it's cloaked in memories and tradition, and they've always been there for me. But just because they were there doesn't mean they were good for you. Just because they never left doesn't mean they didn't poison you while they stayed. This ain't about blaming people. This is about awakening. It's about awareness. Because too many of you are stuck in cycles of defeat because you refuse to confront the fact that the people closest to you might not be aligned with your future. Some of you are praying for breakthrough while sharing your vision with people who only see limitations. You're fighting for your life in the spirit while keeping company with people who are speaking death into your destiny, and you call it love. You have to understand something. Familiarity does not equal safety. Just because someone has been in your life for years doesn't mean they're good for your life right now. Time doesn't sanctify intent. History doesn't cleanse energy. Some people were only meant to be in your story for a season. but you made them permanent fixtures. And now their presence is delaying your progress. Let's be real. Some of the most toxic things spoken over your life didn't come from enemies, they came from loved ones. People who told you you're not smart enough. That dream is too big. Stay in your lane. People who discouraged you from taking the risk, not because they wanted to protect you, but because your courage challenged their complacency. Your boldness made them feel exposed. Your progress reminded them of the places they never dared to go. And instead of celebrating you, they subtly tore you down, not with rage, not with violence, but with a smile and just being honest. But don't get it twisted. Honesty without faith is still fear. Real love builds, it encourages, it strengthens, it doesn't manipulate. It doesn't guilt-trip you into staying small so that others can feel tall. It doesn't punish you for growing. So if someone says they love you, but they constantly make you feel like you're too much, too ambitious, too different, that's not love. That's bondage dressed up in familiarity. You need to ask yourself who's really for me. Who claps when I win, who supports me when I change, who stays silent when I'm fighting for more, and who starts acting funny when I finally break free, because demons don't always scream. Sometimes they whisper. Sometimes they just plant seeds, doubt, guilt, fear, and they let those seeds grow inside you while you keep calling them friend, family, mentor. The devil knows better than to come to you looking like evil. That's too obvious, that's too easy to spot. He comes through who you trust. He comes through who you listen to. Because if he can't destroy you from the outside, he'll do it from within. Through your circle, through your crew, through the people you'd never suspect. You have to be brave enough to open your eyes, brave enough to see the truth even if it breaks your heart. Some of y'all are spiritually suffocating because you're in close quarters with people carrying toxic energy. You wonder why you're always tired, always doubting, always stuck. It's because the people you keep letting in your space are not there to uplift you, they're there to contain you. You can't fulfill your calling if you're surrounded by people who don't even believe in it. You can't fly if your inner circle keeps clipping your wings. You can't break free if the voices you vow. You keep reminding you of your chains. This ain't about being mean. It's not about cutting people off with bitterness. It's about moving with wisdom. It's about choosing alignment over attachment. It's about protecting your destiny even when it means creating distance. Listen, you don't have to hate them. You don't have to curse them. But you do have to stop letting their spirit influence your direction. Love them, pray for them, but stop giving them access to the parts of you that are sacred. Stop letting them speak into your calling. Stop looking for validation from people who don't carry your vision. You owe it to yourself to be free. You owe it to your purpose to be surrounded by people who push you forward, not pull you back. And sometimes the hardest decision you'll ever make is the one to walk away from what's familiar in order to step fully into what's divine. Because demons don't always look like the enemy. Sometimes they look like everything you've ever known. But freedom requires discernment, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Choose truth over tradition. Choose growth over guilt, and if necessary, choose distance over destruction. Your future depends on it. You ever been around someone and felt drained, like, for no reason? You walk in the room full of fire, full of ideas, full of motivation, and the moment they speak, the air shifts. You're trying to rise, but something invisible starts weighing you down. It's like your spirit is fighting a battle your mind hasn't caught up with yet. That's not coincidence. That's not paranoia. That's real. That's energy, and energy never lies. You've been trained to listen to words. You've been taught to trust appearances, but you've got to stop being fooled by how things look and start tuning into how they feel, because intentions aren't always spoken. Most of the time they're shown. They're revealed through the energy a person carries when they show up in your life, And if you're not paying attention, you'll confuse fake smiles for real support. You'll mistake competition for care. You'll think someone's in your corner when they're actually cheering for your collapse. Everybody says they love you, right? Everybody says they want to see you win, but the truth shows up when you start moving in purpose. When you start changing, when you stop entertaining gossip, when you stop letting people treat you any kind of way, that's when the mask slips. That's when the jokes get sharper. That's when the silence gets louder. Because some people only loved the version of you that stayed stuck. The moment you start healing, growing, becoming their real energy shows, you've got to stop being impressed by words, stop getting hypnotized by compliments. Because energy doesn't need a script. It's natural, it's felt. You can't fake alignment. You can't hide frequency. And no matter how hard somebody tries to act like they're for you, your spirit will always know when they're not. You just have to stop ignoring the signs. Think about it. Have you ever shared good news with someone and their whole vibe shifted? They smiled, but it didn't reach their eyes. They said, "That's amazing." But their tone was dry, flat, empty. That's not support, that's envy dressed up in politeness. That's someone clapping with one hand and holding a dagger in the other. That's energy exposing a truth their words would never confess. You can't afford to ignore that. Because when you're on a mission, when you're building, when you're chasing something divine, you can't be surrounded by energy that contradicts your direction. It doesn't matter if they're family. It doesn't matter if you've known them for years. The wrong energy in your inner circle will sabotage your entire future. Not because they say the wrong thing, but because they carry the wrong spirit. Some people don't have to curse you to curse you. Their energy is a curse. They walk in heavy. They speak in doubt. They move in fear. And every time you try to elevate, they subconsciously pull you back down. And you've been blaming yourself for the delay. You've been questioning your own strength. But it's not that you're weak, it's that you're surrounded by energy that's hostile to your growth. You've got to start paying attention, not just to what people say, but to how you feel when you leave their presence. Do you feel inspired? Do you feel clear? Do you feel peace? Or do you feel tension, confusion, like your mind is spinning and your heart is tired? That's not random. That's not just a bad day. That's energy showing you what's real. You see, the spirit of a person speaks before their mouth ever does, and when you're spiritually tuned in, you'll feel it instantly. You'll know when someone's with you for real or just close enough to watch. You'll know when someone wants you to win, or when they're secretly hoping you fall just so they can feel better about where they are. You don't need anyone to confess their intentions when their energy already has. Stop waiting for people to tell you who they are. Believe them the first time they show you. Stop explaining away bad vibes. Stop excusing draining conversations. Stop trying to force connections that your spirit already rejected. And be honest, some of you are exhausted not because you're doing too much, but because you're around too many people doing too little. Their energy is heavy because they're stuck. And when you're the one climbing, you become the rope they pull on. You become the hope they lean on, but they're not climbing with you. They're just watching, waiting, draining, and that's not love. That's dependency masked as loyalty. Real love lifts. Real connection breathes life. You shouldn't have to fight for peace in the presence of people who claim to care about you. If your energy is constantly under attack, it's time to start questioning who's close to you, because not everyone deserves access. Not everyone should get a front row seat to your process. Some people need distance, not because you hate them, but because you love your purpose more. And don't get it twisted, this ain't about being paranoid. This ain't about walking around suspicious of everybody. This is about discernment, about wisdom, about being mature enough to say, I see your smile, but I feel your doubt. I hear your congratulations, but I sense your competition. I know what you say, but your energy says something else. That kind of awareness will save your life, because the wrong energy will have you second, guessing your gift. The wrong energy will make you feel guilty for being great. The wrong energy will plant seeds of fear and call it advice. And if you're not rooted in truth, you'll start to shrink, you'll start to delay, you'll start to doubt what you know you were born to do, all because someone's energy said, "You're not ready," when God already said, "Go." You don't need another confirmation. You don't need another conversation. You need clarity, and clarity comes from being real with yourself, from trusting the feeling in your gut, from listening to that quiet warning inside when something just doesn't sit right. Because in this season of your life, your energy is too valuable to be in spaces that drain you. Your peace is too expensive to keep trading for acceptance. Your calling is too sacred to let contaminated energy shape your decisions. So start honoring what you feel, start guarding what you carry, and stop giving power to people who only bring confusion, because energy doesn't lie, and neither should you. When you feel it, believe it. When you see it, act on it. And when you know deep down that a connection is killing your spirit, have the courage to walk away. The people who are meant for you will speak the right words and carry the right energy. They won't just talk love, they'll be love. They'll pour into you, challenge you, align with you, and when they show up, you'll feel it. No tension, no confusion, just clarity, peace, elevation. That's the kind of energy you deserve. There comes a point in life where you have to make a choice, a real choice, not the kind you make out of comfort, not the kind you make because it keeps the peace, but a choice that defines your future. A choice that tests what you really value, your growth or your attachment. You can't keep holding on to everything and expect to rise. You can't keep calling it loyalty when it's really fear. Some of you are still stuck, not because you don't have the potential to go further, but because you don't have the courage to let go of who's holding you back. See, too many of us confuse proximity with purpose. Just because someone's been there doesn't mean they're meant to stay. Just because they helped you once doesn't mean they're healthy for you now, but you're scared to cut the cord. You're afraid to move different because it might offend somebody. You're worried they'll think you've changed, but let me tell you, you have changed, and that's not a bad thing. Growth is the point. Elevation is the goal. You were never meant to stay the same just to make somebody else comfortable. And that's where discernment has to kick in, because not every familiar face is a faithful one. Some people are only assigned to a version of you that no longer exists. They were comfortable when you were playing small. They were fine when you were broken. But the moment you started waking up, the moment you started thinking higher, speaking life, chasing purpose, their energy changed. That smile got tighter. That support turned into silence. And you still kept trying to prove your worth to people who secretly hoped you'd never outgrow them. You don't owe anybody your peace just because they were part of your past. Stop dragging people into chapters they were never meant to read. Stop compromising your vision to maintain connections that don't even feed your soul. Because here's the truth, love without alignment leads to limitation. And some of you are chained to relationships, friendships, environments not because they're right, but because you're too emotionally tied to call it what it really is, a distraction. You've got to get to a place where your discernment is louder than your desire to belong, where you can feel the shift and act on it, where you can see the signs and obey them. Your spirit doesn't lie. That heaviness you feel around certain people, that confusion every time you talk to them, that uneasy tension that doesn't go away, that's not random, that's not overthinking, that's clarity. That's your higher self telling you this isn't for you anymore, but instead of trusting it, you talk yourself out of it. You justify the energy, you excuse the behavior, and every time you do, you delay your own breakthrough. Discernment requires honesty, brutal honesty. It means calling a thing what it is, even when it hurts. Even when it's inconvenient, even when it's someone you love, because love isn't supposed to hurt your purpose. It's not supposed to rob you of joy. It's not supposed to make you question your value. So if someone's presence constantly drains you, distracts you, or discourages you, it's time to reevaluate, not out of anger, not out of ego, but out of wisdom. You've got to start asking the hard questions. Why am I still holding on to this connection? Is it really love, or is it fear? Is it trust, or is it obligation? Because true connection brings peace, not confusion. It builds you, not breaks you. It fuels your mission, not fights against it. And if it's not doing that, then maybe it's time to make a shift. And let me be clear, discernment doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you stop lying to yourself about who they are. You can love them from a distance. You can pray for them, but you don't have to stay in places that are killing your calling. You don't have to keep watering relationships that stopped growing seasons ago. You don't have to stay loyal to dysfunction just because you've got history. History doesn't guarantee destiny. Just because you started with someone doesn't mean you're supposed to finish with them. Some people were a part of your preparation, not your promise, and you've got to be okay with that. You've got to stop mourning the loss of what you outgrew. You've got to stop feeling guilty for choosing alignment over attachment. That's not betrayal, that's maturity, that's growth, that's leadership. People will call you cold when you finally decide to protect your peace. They'll say you've changed when you stop responding to chaos. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. You don't owe everyone access to your evolution. The ones who are meant to walk with you won't need an explanation. Their energy will match your elevation. Their spirit will celebrate your transformation. But the ones who resist it, the ones who try to pull you back, that's your confirmation. That's your signal. You don't need closure when you've already got clarity. You don't need permission to walk away when the energy already shifted. Don't let guilt trick you into repeating cycles you prayed to be free from. Don't let nostalgia trap you in situations that no longer serve you. Discernment isn't about being harsh. It's about being clear. It's about protecting your soul from environments that no longer feed your purpose. And that might mean walking alone for a while. That might mean silence. That might mean being misunderstood, but freedom costs something, and most of the time it costs your comfort zone. Let them call you different. Let them say you've changed, because you have. You're not who you used to be. You're not where you used to be, and the more you grow, the more you're going to see who's really for you, and who just tolerated you while you stayed small. So walk in discernment, trust what you feel, honor what you know, and be willing to release what no longer aligns. Because attachment will keep you in bondage, but discernment will lead you into destiny. You weren't born to stay connected, you were born to stay committed to purpose. And anything or anyone that competes with that, no matter how familiar, no matter how beloved, must be surrendered. Not in hate, not in pride, but in power.